France mined its last lump of coal in 2004, it closed the door on a nearly 300-year-old industry. While France's coal days may be over, for many others the carbon revolution is just gearing up. So is coal a symbol of the past or a compromise of the future? Welcome to this week's show. Coming up, a new role for coal in Germany's energy transition. More efficient second-generation power plants may herald a glowing future for the fossil fuel, but not everyone agrees. Next, unregulated open-cast mining in India as the government surges ahead with 170 new coal-fuelled plants. France 24's reporters head to the coal capital to assess the damage left behind. And finally, energy-hungry China fuels a mining boom in Mongolia. The landlocked country's rich reserves have boosted its economy, but many locals are yet to reap the benefits of their natural resources. These slag heaps are a very visual reminder of France's coal mining history, a nearly 150-metre high mountain of residue left over from the mining days. Today, every effort is being made to minimise the waste from energy derived from coal, and Germany is leading the way. Its so-called second-generation power plants are considered both more efficient and greener than those in the past, but not everyone is willing to buy the idea of clean coal. This next report from France 24's correspondent in Germany.
For Astrid, this is where it all started. In this small park in the centre of Hamburg, 400 trees were about to be cut down to make way for a heating network linked up to a brand new coal-fired power station. Astrid's an environmental activist, and she did all she could to stop that happening.
I believed, as do the other activists, that if we halt the construction of this network, then we would slow down the construction of the new coal-fired power station and stop it going onto the grid. Essentially, the question is, do we want to produce 9 million tonnes more CO2 or not? It would make a huge difference.
For now, the park has been spared, but Astrid is one of the most ardent critics of the new coal-fired plant being built just outside Hamburg. It's one of a new generation of coal-fired power stations and should be up and running in 2014, supplying the city with power and heating. It's more efficient and thus more environmentally friendly, says Vattenfall, the company building it. To produce 1 kilowatt of power, it needs 20% less raw material than conventional coal-fired plants. The company says the plant is essential to guarantee a regular power supply.
A lot of the nuclear power plants have been shut down. Add to that the fact that a lot of the coal-fired stations are coming to the end of their lives and have to be taken off the grid. Renewable sources of energy are now being developed, but we still need to top up the supplies.
The German government thinks the same and supports the construction of a further 18 coal-fired power stations. The plants will be more efficient, but Germany's CO2 emissions will stay high. Greenpeace says they don't buy the argument that coal can be clean.
It's totally a sham. The main problem with these coal-fired plants is that they will only run for 40 or 50 years. This energy policy is headed in the wrong direction. What they should be doing is the complete opposite, shutting down all the coal-fired plants and replacing them with modern gas-fired plants or with wind or solar power.
Those would be alternatives to help Germany reduce its rising CO2 emissions. Since the country turned its back on nuclear power last year, coal consumption has gone up by 4.9%.
France's coal production peaked in the 60s when this mine alone was producing 1,000 tonnes of coal each day. That was, of course, before nuclear took over. In India, however, the race is still very much on to harness some of its enormous coal reserves. Its haste has, however, come at a cost, both human and environmental. France 24's team travelled to the coal-rich region in the east of India.
There are diamonds in the coal.
There may not be diamonds, but there certainly is a lot of coal near the city of Jharia in eastern India. The fossil fuel has been mined here for more than a century, and almost as old as the mines are the coal fires that have covered the area in smoke. Officials estimate nearly 70 are burning today. Mine workers like Basant Bhuyan continue to live in this hellish landscape.
We've been here for multiple generations, since my grandfather's time. And the number of fires keeps on rising each year. As they grow, we have no option but to live with them. Right next to my house, there's a big fire. If you see it at night, it's as bright as day. It's like lightning.
As evening falls, work in the region's 63 mines continues. Excessive and unregulated mining has seen the coal fires spread. Mr. Bhuyan's former house was consumed by one.
Look, it used to be here. This whole area is on fire. So many people just got burned to death, and so many others have fallen sick after inhaling the gases. And on top of that, there's no supervision. This fire will consume and kill everything.
The fires are sparked by the spontaneous combustion of coal in Jharia's open-cast mines. The burning coal emits noxious gases and a heat so strong it splits the earth. Smoke now rises from people's houses, and 60% of the region's population is thought to suffer from allergies and respiratory diseases.
The high levels of carbon dioxide and coal dust have caused a cycle of health problems. It's impossible for someone to lead a normal, healthy life here. The body is continuously overwhelmed.
In an effort to protect the population and free up more space for mining, more than 1,100 families were hastily moved to the new township of Belgharia. Not everyone is pleased.
There are no jobs here. We have troubles with water and electricity. It was better next to the coal fields, a million times better. Sure, there was the gas and the fire, but at least we could feed ourselves.
Over the next 20 years, the government wants to move more than 400,000 people out of the mining belt. If successful, it'll be India's biggest ever relocation exercise.
France's coal mines once provided a workplace for as many as 300,000 men. Daniel Franck was one of them. He started his career as a miner at 14 years of age. This is a room he would shower in each day. If this mine were to be reopened tomorrow here in France, would you be willing to go back down again?
Of course I would go back down, but not at my age. If I were 30, I would go willingly because of the camaraderie, the solidarity, even though it was a very hard job. We worked in shafts 50 centimeters high in 40 degrees heat, in the water, in the mud, but that's the life of a miner.
You told me earlier that many of your colleagues were immigrants, whether it be from Italy, Poland or North Africa, and today foreign workers are still recruited to work in mines, not here in France of course, but in Mongolia. This time it's Chinese workers providing the labour in an industry that is really shaking up Mongolia and the nomadic way of life.
The southern Gobi Desert, a pristine lunar landscape that's now covered in diggers. Home to the world's largest untapped coal reserves, the gold rush has started here, with miners keen to excavate its 7 billion tonnes of carbon.
Last year, the plan was to mine 1 million tonnes of coal. This year, we're going to produce 3 million tonnes. And the production capacity should grow to 6 million tonnes for next year. We're doing really good business.
Everybody wants to get in on the action. Peabody Energy, Shenhua and a joint Mongol-Russian consortium are all exploiting the region at the moment. China's their biggest customer. 80% of coal mined in Mongolia crosses the border.
China is a friend to us and we are very close geographically. Our relations with this southern neighbour are of utmost importance. We export our coal products to China and import food products and construction materials from there.
Yet heavy mining starting to take its toll on the environment. Local farmers have had to abandon traditional ways of life.
Mining affects herders' lives. For example, there's so many trucks that they are destroying roads and animal pastures. Before they started mining here, there were many herdsmen and their families living in this area. Now, they've all moved away.
Mining at the Tavan Tolgoi site has caused socio-economic tensions too. The industry's attracted an influx of Chinese migrant workers who provide cheaper labour than the local people.
Mongols should be working in Mongolia. Rich foreigners who are investing here should be bringing some benefits to the Mongolian economy and to the people who live here. But that's not the case.
Mongolia's new parliament has promised to better distribute mining revenues and also to stem the environmental impact of this new El Dorado.
Despite pressure for the world to turn its back on coal, the fossil fuel still provides 40% of our electricity needs. A shift to more renewable sources may be the long-term goal, but in the meantime, coal has a bright future in the global energy mix. That brings us to the end of this week's show. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.